Have you ever felt that your life, workspace, and home were completely cluttered? We'll find out how Lorie Marrero built an empire around this problem in today's Innovator Interview. Welcome to Lipstick Unplugged. This is the no-gloss business branding show that gives women the confidence, mentoring, and resources necessary so that they can change their lives and the world through entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Dee Copeland Patience, and today I'm talking with my friend Lorie Marrero, who I met in 2006 here in Austin, and she was starting her Clutter Diet online program. So the Clutter Diet went in 2009 to a best-selling book on Amazon, and Lorie since then has gone on to do some really great things that we talk about here. So here's what you're going to learn in this interview. We talk with Lorie about her early childhood experience that really fuels her passion and her ability to move past fear, which is something that comes up a lot. We also talked about why she's moving away from blogging, which was something that was really important in building your platform, and it still is, but why she's doing more YouTube videos. She also has some pretty cool tips for us there. And last, she talks about her plans for growing her own personal brand and why that's important in the upcoming year. So I think you're going to enjoy this one, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, so today we have Lorie Marrero on the show, and I'm really excited. She's been an organizer since 2000, and she found the Living Order brand of organizing services here in Texas, namely in Austin and San Antonio. So I met Lorie in 2006 when she had started her Clutter Diet online program, which I thought was really interesting at the time. And so Lorie's been on since 2009. She created a best-selling book out of the Clutter Diet. It's called The Skinny on Organizing Your Home and Taking Control of Your Life. And by the way, Lorie knows this is no gloss, so if I stumble over the book title, there's no cutting it. And Lorie, though, is a spokesperson also for Goodwill Industries, and I really respect the job that she's done and the passion behind why she's doing that. And I told Lorie before we started that the reason I wanted to talk to her is because what we're talking about this season on Lipstick Unplugged is fear, change, and starting points, which is something that she's done very well, and she's built an empire since I met her. So welcome, Lorie, to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And so, Lorie, what I was excited about is when I first started my journey of setting up a side business. I want to be a branding coach. You really helped me organize my ideas, and you really put yourself out there. You were one of the people that I didn't even know how busy you were, and I reached out to you, and you reached back. And before we get into your background, I wanted to help the audience understand what you do now and why you do it.
Well, what I do now is I spend a lot of my time writing and a lot of time doing media and video, and I love my life. And I think that's really important to know that that is a goal for business people, is to invest a lot of time and money and then get that back at some point. So what I love the most right now is that I have complete control of my time. I really am doing exactly what I want to be doing.
Good. And so when I met you in 2006, I just immediately knew, and I liked the fact that you just seemed like a good person. You seemed like you were passionate about what you're doing, but you're also one of those people that seemed like you were shooting for the stars and you were fearless. Were you actually really fearless at the time, or tell us a little bit about that journey?
You know what, that's funny. I really don't like that word fearless. I hear that a lot because you know what? It's not about not having fear. It's about feeling that fear and doing something anyway. I think there's a book of that title. But I think it's about bravery. So it's about pushing through that fear. And I think that fear is a signal to us that maybe we should look beyond that. I know Tony Robbins has a quote. I was going to look it up actually before we got on. I can't remember it exactly, but it's sort of like the thing that you are afraid to do is a clear indicator of the thing you must do.
Oh, exactly.
So I really, really live by that.
So then take us back then. Where did you... I imagine that you learned that over time, right? But take us back to your childhood. One of the things I haven't seen in a lot of your interviews is kind of where you grew up, what your childhood was like. And I think it really a lot of times explains that journey a little bit about those early lessons that someone learned. So can you tell us more about Lorie and how she was when she was a kid?
Well, you know, Okay, I'm not afraid to get really personal because I think this is a story that can help a lot of people. I grew up in West Texas, in San Angelo, Texas, a really small town, kind of a farming, ranching town. And kind of a normal family, like a brother and a sister and all that. And I was a straight A student, and everybody can kind of picture what little kid I might have been like being an organizer. But I did save up my allowance to buy a label maker when I was, in fourth grade. So, but I'm not afraid to share that. I mean, I was abused as a child, so that really taught me a lot about fear. And one of the things that is kind of interesting about me now is that I'm a beekeeper, and people think that's really funny. But about that time in my life, I did some beekeeping with my mother, and it was sort of like the first time that I really looked fear in the face and said, no, I'm interested enough to push through the fear and get on the other side of that, because I really want so bad to see what's inside those beehives. And I was always a real scared little kid. I was a little squirrely, kind of, afraid of tornadoes and, afraid to be thrown in the deep end of the water, that kind of stuff. But the beekeeping really represented to me that first time that, fear didn't stop me. And, of course, dealing with the abuse that happened and everything, I really had to push through that in my teens and 20s to do a lot of hard work to get over that. And I'm really proud of the work I did. So, fear has, guided me in an odd way, but, you've got to push through it. And that's what I learned early on.
And I'm so glad you revealed that, because the thing that I found is that online people really like it when you bare your soul. And there's so much that we have to say that has to do with something bad that happened or some fear. And one of the things that I do is I try to talk about when my mom passed away, because talking helps. And it also is that passion that drives me, because she had depression. So can you tell me then, how did you kind of take that, everything that you had to grow since your teenage years, and it seems as if one of the things you talked about was fear in organizing, and there's so much abundance in people's lives. And it seemed as if that kind of came together, and is that what fuels your brand?
Well, what fuels my brand is, I think women in general don't think their needs are important. And I really want people to get clear about what they want in their lives, and I know that clutter stands in the way of that in a lot of cases, and I see it all the time. And I can see so clearly when I hear someone's story that, they're presenting to me about clutter, but what the real issues are much larger, and it's about what they want for their lives, and they're afraid to get that. And so clutter almost becomes an excuse for them. So I want them to have a lot of gratitude about the abundance they have in their lives. As I say in my videos, be grateful for having more than enough. I mean, that's really the issue with clutter, right? But looking beyond that and pushing through whatever that fear is, because that stuff is holding you back. So that really drives me, and that's really my core message.
And so tell me then, how did you start to weave that message into your brand? Because I know that you built Living Order. And is it that it came in and it was a part of the naming stage or part of the messaging? When you describe what you do, because you have other organizers, that's when I met you. You started the online brand and you started organizers and you were recruiting them. Is that how you started with your why, or how did you describe what you did so that people just said, wow, I want to be a part of that?
Well, yeah, I started the Living Order brand when I had a service business, and I did close that in 2008 because Clutter Diet, the online business, just took off to the point, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to go that direction. So I closed it as far as legally, and then actually my two former employees, one in Austin and one in San Antonio, continued that business for themselves. And so Living Order still exists, and they're operating, but I'm not in that business anymore. But, I guess I haven't, in my opinion, done the best job of putting that message into my stuff. And I know that I can do better. And that's one of my goals for this year, is to make sure that message is very clear, starting at our homepage. So that's something I'm actually working on right now. It's always been there, and I think it comes out, in how I say things, but I want to be more explicit about that message and very upfront about it. So that's a good question for me right now.
Well, great, and that's one of the things that that it just comes up all the time. And I think Simon Sinek, one of the reasons he's so popular with Start With Why, is because that's what makes someone stand out. And I realized that's what made me remember you after all those years. And out of all the people that I had to call, I called you because it was there, and it might not be something you said, but it was something that came out in your actions. So what I wanted to do for our audience is, since 2009, you started your book, and this is 2012. Do you feel that you've built out your empire, your processes, your systems the way that you wanted? And or are there other things that you can tell us that you're working on that you feel that's important for us to know?
Well, I do have a really big goal, and that is that I so believe in women working together in business. And that's one reason I'm excited to talk to you today. I just think that there's so much power there, and we can do so much more if we work together. And so I have a vision that I'm calling, the dream team, but it's the working title, But I have a group of experts that we all serve pretty much the same audience. And some of us have spoken together already in October in New York. But I really want to formalize this team and pull us together to serve these women even better. And so we have a parenting expert, we have a person who's an expert on dinners, and a person who's an expert on happiness and perfectionism, and just lots of issues that, women need help with. So, clutter, of course, is one of them. So that's kind of my vision for moving forward is, going beyond just talking about clutter, but really trying to meet lots of needs of women and go up a higher level and really talk about life. So however I formalize and pull together that dream team is yet to be determined, but I'm working hard on that.
And that's something that one of the things I thought I saw about you is that you had mentors at different stages. And so one of the things that's important is two things. One is that it seems as if, I believe, Scott Densmore, I was listening to him the other day, and he had a quote, I forget who it was from, but he said that the quote was that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And he realized that in order to really get to that next level, that you're going to have to put yourself around people who are already doing what you want to do or who believe in it, and they're striving in the same way that you are. So the question that I have then is, with these mentors and these 5 closest people, it's so lonely online. People get so lonely. They're in their homes. They're by themselves. How did you find those people, or how would you suggest we find those 5 people to start building that community around us so that we don't get so lonely and discouraged?
Well, I really believe in networking, and I don't mean just going out and shaking hands locally and going to a breakfast. I mean going out nationally and really meeting your peers. That's made a huge difference for me because I go out to seminars and I learn as much as I can. And that's been the way that I've met some of these people because they have a bigger vision too, because they're showing up there. And, we all are trying to do bigger and better and more things. So, they may live in another state, but there are so many women that I talk to on a daily, weekly basis that, that don't live here in Austin. And that's because I've met them, through these various ways, either seminars or actually even social media. I mean, I do pick up the phone and call people when I see somebody. I have a great friend, Kelly Lester. She has easylunchboxes.com, and she is a dynamo. And guys, look her up. She's unbelievable with branding. But you know what? I got introduced to her lunchboxes because someone thought I might like them for organizing or something. And I saw what she was doing, and I picked up the phone. She lives in Los Angeles, and we just started a conversation. Now we are very close. And she's a person that I spoke with in October. She's kind of part of my dream team and my vision. But she's like a sister. I mean, it's just because I picked up the phone and called her and made that relationship start. And so don't be afraid to do that.
And I'm a testament to that. I hop on Skype all the time with people. I hop on the phone, and I find that you can feel so much more and get to know them so much better when you hop on just Skype and you get to see their faces and talk to them and introduce, my little cats to them. And it just makes them more of a person than just the online. Yeah. So I think that's so first, and I've heard that's great, is you go to industry conferences, you go out, you meet people, and then you follow up with them. And for you call, you get on Skype, you see someone who's doing something great. that's going to really help you stand out, is just to reach out to that person.
That's right.
So then I noticed that you have your blog, you have social media, you're on Twitter. I wanted to talk to you about building your platform. It's something that I'm fascinated with, because there's so many options that you can choose to build this platform that's part of Michael Hyatt's book that is really popular right now. Some people are choosing to get rid of blogging and go to podcasting, just something that fills them and they feel really gives back to the world. So how are you using social media, and what are your plans for building your platform?
You know what I really believe in right now is YouTube. So, I mean, I have been building a platform since 2006, and, I've tried all those things. I've certainly done a lot of blogging. I've got hundreds of articles on my blog, but I'm kind of moving away from blogging because I feel like really video is the future. And I think video prepares you for lots of things. I mean, certainly has been very good for me to be on YouTube every week and have that weekly practice of making something on camera so that I'm comfortable in front of the camera, because now I'm in front of the camera a lot. So that's been cool. But I think, they say that YouTube is the #2 search engine. And when people want to know how to, which is the kind of content I have, they're going to be going there, and I need to be there. So I have been doing that consistently for a while now.
Wow. And so, I think Chris Brogan also said that if he had to choose between podcasting and blogging, he would move away from blogging. And he's, of course, a prolific blogger. So right. Can you tell me then why specifically you made that decision? You said, well, I'm going to start blogging and I'm going to get on. Was there a moment or something that you realized or something that you went to? What was the argument for that?
That's funny. You mentioned mentors. My mentor is Brendan Burchard. I've been working with him for many years now, and I was in his mastermind group. So I think it was in 2010, we were at a group meeting, and he was just punching us with, hey, it's all about video. You've got to start paying attention to video. And so, he challenged us to leave there and try to do a video every week. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. You know what? I get it. I get it. And so I really did. I went home and I just started doing video every week. And if you see those early ones, I'm definitely not as good as I could be now. I mean, I'm more skilled now. But, because of that discipline of doing it, I have over 100 videos on there now and a pretty big bunch of channel views and things like that. But all it takes is consistent effort over time and discipline. And that's why I did it.
Wow. And I can tell you, looking at a camera is so strange when you first start doing it. So can you tell us then about your first initial fears and mistakes that you made with YouTube, and then some really good lessons learned that you want the audience to take away?
Mistakes were bad lighting was one, and I have a light box on me right now. It may not be perfect lighting, but it's better than what it would be without the light box. So I've gotten really aware of that. Bad audio. I got a clip-on mic for my videos now. That doesn't always go perfectly either, but it's better. And, just learning to not be so scripted, to really just have a few bullet points and trust yourself, because you know what you're talking about. If you're an expert, you do know. And so all I do is usually I have a cue card up with a couple of bullets of things that I want to say, and then I'm good for that. So yeah.
I think that's excellent. And that's what I learned too. I have some lights. I don't know if they're the best ones, but you just keep getting better over time. And it just takes practice, like speaking or anything else, when you start getting used to video. And so, Lorie, one of the things that I wanted to talk about that's a little different is I really liked, again, how you opened up and you talked about I hope you talk about that more. You mentioned with continuing to build your platform, because I think it's what's really important and core to you. And so I wanted to know then is how are you moving forward? You talked about you're going to be doing video, but what's that big vision that you have for your brand? We'll start kind of winding down here. And if you had to do it all over, if through everything that you've been through, your book, and you're now a spokesperson, what would you maybe do a little differently that you can provide to us as advice?
Wow, that was a big question. Let's see. What would I do differently? You know what? I would tell people that you cannot depend on a guru to save you. And I'm not talking about Brendan Burchard, by the way. So he is awesome and he's still my mentor. And I have a great relationship with all the people in the Brendan group. But what I am talking about is some consultants that I hired early on. I sank a lot of money into that because I felt desperate. I didn't know what I was doing and I needed help. And I felt like, oh, these people are going to save me. And it was such an unhealthy mindset, I realize now. And it was a great lesson because what I know now is it's all about me. Wow. I have to be responsible for my business, and I can get information from other people that's helpful to me, but it's going to ultimately rest on me to make the decisions and take the actions that are necessary to, rescue or move my business forward. So that was huge. I would do that very differently. And
I would definitely agree. I sank so much money into courses, and yeah. I feel like sometimes it's almost like a way to just not push forward. It's like a delay or stall tactic with me that I think, well, maybe there's something else I need to know, or maybe there's something else I need to learn. And really the learning is a lot of times in that process, like you mentioned with getting good at YouTube videos. So I wanted to ask in these final questions, we're going to kind of wrap up here. And then I want to know the audience to know where to find you, some of the things that you have coming up that you're excited about. But I know one of the things that you're really excited about that's close to my heart too is your Goodwill spokespersonship. You're the spokesperson for other national brands, but you're also a spokesperson for Goodwill. And I find that a lot of women, there's this passion inside them, and they might be good spokespeople. So I wanted to know more about that. How did you get it? How did that come about? And why, and kind of and how that feeds into kind of this greater, bigger vision that you have.
Well, when you're an expert, you have something that brands need, and that is the tips and information that they cannot convey themselves. So if they want to talk about their product, they look like a commercial when they're talking about their product. And as an expert, you can give tips and strategies around their product that don't look as much like a straight out commercial. So those brands need you as an expert, and so that's good to know. So you position yourself by building your platform, and you get out there and do video and get experience so that you're ready when that kind of opportunity shows up. And a lot of times, frankly, they called me, and it was because I built a platform.
Wow.
With Goodwill, we called them because I really wanted to have a nonprofit partner. And that was something, I have to say, Brendan really inspired me to do. I really wanted to, contribute on a higher level. So I was looking for just that right nonprofit partner. And we, called, my PR person called over there, and we started a conversation. And that evolved over several months into a spokesperson relationship. But now it's just, I call it a love fest. I mean, we love working together. We love each other. I am so committed to their mission, and they know it, and I do everything I can for them.
So then tell me how we choose our nonprofit partner, and why was that so important? Because Brendan offers awesome advice. He has great videos. So why, what was the reason behind getting a nonprofit partner in particular, and how do we find one?
Well, I think contribution is one of the higher level needs that we have as a human. I mean, Tony Robbins teaches this. I really believe that. And, we get our basic needs met. We have a place to sleep and a place to eat, and we have a job and all those things. But when we really want to live fully, we have to contribute. And so for me, I was looking for, okay, I don't want to stuff envelopes in a basement somewhere or whatever. I want to volunteer on a high level. I want to use my talents and my skills and everything about me that makes me who I am and what I do best. And I want to give that to something that is bigger than me.
Wow.
So, the way you find someone is you just have to do a lot of thinking. I mean, you can go certainly to charitynavigator.org and you can sort of look up companies. But, really for me, it was an aha moment one day on the phone with my PR gal. We were just brainstorming, and it was just sort of a big V8 duh moment, like, Goodwill, hello. Of course it should be Goodwill. So that's how it happened for me. But it's really being mindful about what you want, and then those things come to you when you have a clear picture.
So tell us on this last question, I wanted to know, you said being mindful about what you want, and there's a lot of ways to do it. Sometimes people carry notebooks around, and you've gone through this process, seems like several times. So if you can give us some final tips on if we're standing, on the edge and we need that final push, how do we really take that next step? What would your advice be for that? And then tell us where we can get more connected with you online.
How do people take that step when they're afraid and they're right on the edge?
Yeah, you're standing there, you're on the edge. One of the things you said is, you're being mindful about what you want. And so I can see it. The vision is there, but there's something holding me back. How do you take that next step?
You know what I do? I dare myself. I know that sounds silly, but you know what? I remember the first time I was going to be on television. I said, you know what? I need to get on television. I'm afraid to do that. So I guess I just better dare myself and do it. And so I made a phone call and I was like, okay, this is going to happen. And you know what? I just pushed myself out of the plane, literally. Like I went skydiving, and that's what you do. I mean, you just have to push yourself out of the plane. So
I think that's awesome.
Share your vision with somebody close to you who you're not afraid to share it with, who won't be negative. Who can encourage you. I really believe in accountability. I think that's a huge driving force for people, is having accountability to others.
That's awesome. And so, Lorie, if we wanted to look you up, track what you're doing, what's the best places that we can kind of follow you online?
Well, clutterdiet.com, of course, is natural, but we actually are building the LorieMarrero.com site right now. I'm kind of excited because this year I really want to develop my personal brand more. So that's not ready just yet. There's something up right now, but I mean, we're putting that together. I'm really excited about that. So that'll be kind of the place to find out kind of what I'm up to beyond clutter.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited with what you have. Of course, I'm going to stay watching. And I just thank you for your time here today with the women in our audience.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And I just so hope that this helps somebody somewhere.
I think it will. Thank you, Lorie.
Thank you.
That's it for today's Innovator Interview. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more inspiring mentor interviews, the show notes, and your Rebel Action worksheet, visit lipstickunplug.com.